Did that get it?
I don't know,
Anyways,
maybe.
welcome to I Got Board Game
Woo!
Friday.
Friday, Friday.
And so for today, we're going over a pretty quick game.
Mm-hmm.
And that game is
Baseball.
baseball or
Just kidding.
bowling or
Actually, it's what's being depicted here. Strike.
strike. Okay, so strike is a game for 2 to 5 players. Plays in Board Game Geek says 15 minutes. I think even just like 10 minutes.
Maybe not even.
Yeah. And so, quick overview of how the game feels. And actually, because it's such a simple game, I'm going to try to teach the whole game right now. So let me just share the screen so you can see how it's set up. So that is how the game without the box, just this part. This is the actual game box itself. So you just open the box and there's this arena, quote unquote, inside and all these dice. And so everyone gets a certain number of dice depending on the number of players. And this game literally has no theme. I just looked through the rule book. There's no mention of theme, just the game idea and how to play. And so the whole idea is to be the last person with dice, and you're the winner. So last person standing. And the way it works is everyone starts with the same number of dice. There's a die that starts in the middle, and all these dice are D6 or 6-sided with the 1 replaced by an X, which will be important later on. But then players take turns, and on your turn, I have to throw 1 die in at a time. So you'll throw 1 die into the arena, and you can throw it however you want, however strategic or special kind of throw you feel you're doing. If it bounces out of the arena or lands on the top, like the actual golden-ish area, that die is removed from the game. So you lose it. So you don't want to do that.
You're out.
But then when it lands, you basically are trying to match your die number with other dice that are already inside the arena. And so you throw 1 die at a time. You have to throw at least 1. After you throw your first one, you can choose to continue or to stop. And so when you throw it, if your die number matches any other die or even multiple dice that are already in the arena, you collect all the dice of the same number. And then whatever didn't match stays in there, and that actually ends your turn once you collect. And then it goes to the next player, and they'll throw 1 die. And then if it matched, their turn ends. If it didn't, they can decide to throw another one or not. And you just keep going like this. And as you're going like this, people are going to start losing dice, right? They're going to leave the dice in the arena if it didn't match and maybe choose to just pass their turn anyway and not risk any more dice. Mm-hmm. If you ever land on the X side or the 1 side, that doesn't actually match with anything. Once it lands on the X side, it's removed from the game. So yeah, you don't want that either. And yeah, you just keep going until everyone is eliminated. The only one other rule is that if on your turn the die you throw in matches and the dice you collect leaves the arena empty, like you matched with the only other die in there, and so you collect both of the dice and there's nothing in there, then the next player, it goes to their turn and they have to throw all their dice at once. They don't have a choice. So they have to throw it all at once. Again, see if anything matches. If it doesn't match, then obviously they have no more dice and they've been eliminated. And so you just keep going around, taking turns doing this until you're the last person standing, and that's how you win the game of strike. Those are all the rules.
Mm-hmm. And then one other quick rule thing as well is we were talking about how you can throw your dice in any way, kind of, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about this, but one of the other rules is you can't drop or you can't throw the dice with it or like past kind of the circle of the arena, right? So you can't put your hand like right next to the floor of the arena and throw it in that way. So it has to be at least above the hole.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Small rule.
It's small. It's a
I
small.
don't even know if the rules say that, but that's just kind of you want to make sure you're throwing the dice, basically. And yeah, that's it. So what do you like about this, John?
Well, I think this game is hilarious and it's great. It's very simple, as we were just saying. Literally, Ben explained the rules in not even 5 minutes. And there's really not much to the game other than you're throwing dice into this little arena thing. So one of the cool things about the game, and one of the things I like about it is it's very simple. the rules, it kind of has a feeling of a push your luck, and then a little bit of like what we kind of call dexterity games, because you're throwing these dice into the space, and so you have to make sure that the dice land in the arena. But then it's also this fun thing where normally you think, oh, isn't it just like rolling dice, right? That's no big deal. What makes this different from if I just had a bunch of dice in front of me and I just started rolling them? Well, the thing is because, as we were saying, you throw the dice into the arena. And so one of the things when you first hear the rules, it doesn't really make sense. But when you play the game, you realize, well, when you throw the dice into the arena and there's dice in there, you're knocking dice over and you're changing and the pips that are showing up on your dice. And that's the part where this game kind of shines in the simple way that it shines, is because it's not just literally rolling dice. There is a pseudo strategy, I guess, or there's just something you're trying to do, which is basically you're trying to hit it so that you're matching your dice in it. So it becomes something of like when it's your turn and you're throwing the dice in, it gets to a point where sometimes you're like, should I throw another die in there? Because if I do, I might be able to collect more dice that are inside the arena. But if I keep throwing dice in and I don't match anything, there's 5 sides to the dice officially that you can match, and then 1 side that you're going to lose a die. So it's like your chances of matching, you might not actually match. You might lose. You might just keep throwing your dice in and you keep losing them. So that's the part that makes it really fun.
I was thinking about what you're saying, like before you said it, the whole like trying to hit other dice, because like technically, like when there's just like one other die in there, that doesn't change your probability at all, because the die you're throwing, it's going to be random. Whatever's there when you hit it, it's going to be random, right? Whether it matches. But I guess it does make a difference if there's multiple dice already in there, right? Because then you could hit 1 or 2 that end up matching together themselves or something like that. So I guess that's not actually like superstitious as I thought I was going to say about it. There is some probability that builds up later on when that happens. And then there's obviously those funny moments where it's like, it is definitely a push your luck game. I would say, like, I would categorize this simply as push your luck and dice rolling, basically. And then, I mean, not there's that dexterity action, but it's not actually like a dexterity game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there is that funny part with the push your luck where it's like, you throw and it didn't match, and you throw again and it didn't match, and eventually, like, once the numbers are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the arena, the next die you throw will probably match, but it could also be the X, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of a little funny, like, out, right? If they made it just like actually a D6, that's 1 through 6, then I think the game would lose a lot of its feel,
Yeah.
But the fact that there is that one side that's just a dead side that you never want, that never matches, then like your chances are never for sure, And so that's a smart little thing. Another smart little thing is, I think the way that it's push your luck with dice rolling, that works really well together, because there's a lot of like push your luck games where it's kind of like card draw, or even like what other people have, and so you're kind of betting against them in a way. But then the fact that you're pushing your luck literally on dice which are all luck, it fits, right? It really gives you that kind of lightness to the game, so it's never serious because it's all dice, right? And so you can kind of just let yourself play this kind of in that very light way of like, okay, I'll push my luck because it's funny, or like I'm gonna like try really hard not to push my luck and just like try to let the turns go by me, but I still might lose, but maybe I'll try to win that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of, I think it's a really good fit to have those two together. And it makes the game really fast. Like it's really fast.
You said, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If I guess apparently you just keep throwing dice and keep matching all the time.
yeah. And then obviously that one kind of out of the ordinary rule of, once you clear the arena, it forces the next player to throw everything. Those are fun moments too, right? It's just like, because you approach it like, oh, I did it to you, but it's like, no, it was all luck, it's all probability, but you made it happen, and you all think it's funny.
but I did make it to you.
Yeah, I like going like, you know what? I'm gonna drop it from this height and it'll be a 4, and I'll match.
Oh, and then one thing I think we didn't talk about components wise is, as you can see, this arena, one of the interesting and cool fun things too is that the bottom is actually made out of like a foam material, so it's kind of springy, so it's also has a little bit of bounce and give, so when you throw the dice in, if you're not careful,
It'll
it
bounce
does
out.
bounce. It
Yeah.
bounces a little bit,
And that's
which
a
is kind of
funny
fun
little
too.
like component design thing, right? Like, because I remember when I first heard about it, the reviewers were like, it's like, I wonder if they had someone like do some engineering and design to figure out the size and the material to put on the bottom. Is like, maybe like a little bit. It's kind of funny to think about someone having to like put so much time into designing it. But okay, the negatives.
I mean, so to me, in all honesty, the only negative is just the fact that, and I don't even think this is a real negative. I mean, it's a filler game. This is not a game to be taken seriously. It's not it's not supposed to be long. It's not supposed to be fast. It's not supposed to be strategic. Not fast. It is supposed to be fast. It's just something to play on the side. That would be my only major negative critique, because I mean, this game literally sets out to do exactly what it says to do. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all it does.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bells and whistles. It's not trying to be super fancy. Like, I mean, maybe you ding it because it's like, oh, you use plastic, you gold painted the plastic arena so that it looks somewhat gaudy, but it's like fake, it's like paint, right? But I was just like, who cares? This is supposed to be a game that's not that expensive and not that long. So that is my negative, which
Yeah.
is
But
like,
no, that, just really briefly was the components are fine. Like the box is fine.
yeah,
The
exactly.
dice are like not like really like
Bad dice.
hollow or light dice. They're just fine, good weight dice. So it isn't actually bad.
Yeah, it's not bad quality. It's just like if you were even fishing for something to say, it's like, you
But
can
yeah,
say that, I guess.
yeah, I agree. I agree. The negative thing is like one way I've heard it put. It's like it is like it's kind of like a mindless game, But you could put your mind into it to like have fun, kind of saying stuff about your luck and your chances and stuff
And how
like
poorly
that.
someone threw the dice, and you laugh at them because they're such poor dice throwers, or how they had like this all of the numbers inside, and they
Yeah,
throw it,
they
and
can't do
then
it.
they knock one over, and both of them are X's, so they lose.
Yeah.
They get nothing.
Oh, the X's are great.
It's amazing.
But yeah, just a light game. That's the main gripe I would have against it. It is, I guess, maybe one other small thing more about getting it. I think so. I did try to look it up, and I think it is available on Amazon if you guys are interested. A different looking version. This is the international version, the original version that came out, and so yeah, it just might be like kind of hard to get, except maybe through online places, maybe. Because it's just not a game that really got big here in America. Uh, but so final part, we will go on to our scores. What would you give this, John?
This may be controversial. I give this a 7.
Oh, dang. Really?
I actually do give it a 7 because I mean, so the reason why is because I think, like, as a filler game, that's why. Because I would be willing to play this if someone said, "Hey, let's just play a few rounds of Strike." I would always be on board with that because I'm just like, yeah, it's a fun game, it's a simple game, it's easy. We just jump right into it. It'll be fun for however many rounds and how many times you want to play, and then that's it. And that's all the game is. That's why I give it a 7. It does, again, it does exactly what it wants to do. It doesn't kind of it's kind of like the straightforwardness of all straightforward games. Like, very simple, very easy to pick up. You can, as we did, you could teach it in less than 5 minutes, and then you just play, and then you just have fun with it. So I give it a 7 because that's it.
So your score did not influence mine. I did think of changing mine before all this, so I just changed it. But not because of you. Not because of you. So we will show my Board Game Geek. I give it a 6.5.
No.
It was at a 6 before, but my reasoning, even just thinking about it yesterday, was that it's not a 6 because it's not like just bottom of the line filler game. It has that entertainment that just puts it up a little more. It's still kind of like near 6, which is what, according to Board Game Geek, good, usually willing to play. Well, yeah, I would play it as a filler, yeah, as you were saying. But it is still very much a filler. For me, it's also no theme, which obviously that's what would draw me into a game. So that's kind of a knock from me, of just like, it really is just playing this funny dice rolling game. Where, obviously games with theme or mechanics could be much more engrossing, involving. And so, yeah, 6.5. I would say, even though my score might not reflect this, I remember the original review when I first heard about the game. My copy, the international version, I actually like imported from Germany, I think, because I think that was the only way to get it. However many years ago I learned about it. It actually came out in 2012, apparently, but I didn't get it back then, but maybe a few years after. And I had learned about it through, I think, the Game Night like series of videos from Board Game Geek on YouTube, and they actually played it. And one of the ways I think they put it in their review talking about it was, the game is more fun than it should be. And then when I heard that, I was like, okay. I was kind of getting into games at the time, so I was like, okay, you know what? I'll go out of my way to find this game that's more fun than it should be. And in playing it, I agree. That very much is how I would describe it. It's just like, you have dice and the box itself, and you're taking turns throwing, and it's like, this is funny. Like, it's not dumb funny. It's just funny because you're just the excitement of pushing your luck in such a small way.
And kind of talking about it that way, it almost, when I think about it, it almost reminds me of like gambling games, right? Like games you play in casinos and stuff like that, where you're like, a lot of those games, as you're saying, like you're pushing your luck. Usually though, it's like cards or roulette or something like that, right? And then you're betting, right? You're oftentimes betting against people a lot. But in this game, it's like, I think it's even with the way that the box looks and stuff, it kind of has that like casino-y feeling, or at least the arena-y feel to it, which kind of reminds you, or at least me, kind of reminds you a little bit of like that kind of gambling casino-y feel to it. And that I'm also pushing my luck, but I'm not betting anything, right? So really, I don't have to worry about losing out on it. But also in a way, you are betting because you're throwing your dice in. So you're like, the thing you're pushing your luck with is the money that you're betting in a casino.
Money of staying in the game.
Exactly. Versus,
yeah, that's an interesting way,
right, in that way.
it.
But otherwise, like, I don't think this is a gambling game in any way. I guess maybe you could put money on this if you really wanted to. I don't think that's a good idea. Don't do that. Personally, I don't think it is, unless you guys are the types that do that. And I just feel like you'd bet on anything at that point. So you'd make any game a betting game.
Yeah, you're the coin flip betters. And I guess the final thing, the one small thing that comes to mind with the components for me, I should have mentioned it, was, I think one possible negative is, if you do get this game, like, I prefer getting games in person because I can like see the condition and such. And for a game where the box is actually used for the game, you obviously want one where it's not dented in some way or messed up. You can still play with it probably, but it's just not the way it was designed to be played, I guess, So you would probably just want to make sure, if you are ordering online or are picking it up in store, that, it's not like a dented copy of the game. But yeah, that's just a small thing too, which is just, it comes with using the box as your actual game component. But yeah, so 6.5 from me, 7 from John.
I'm closer to the official score than you are, by the way.
Oh yes, the average is 6.8. But I was thinking, I just don't remember what I said for Dominion when we reviewed Dominion. Did I give it a 6.5 or even a 6?
I think you gave it a 6.
I
gave it a 6.5.
I would play this instead of Dominion.
Comparable.
6.5 from me and 7 from John. And that is our review of Strike. Hope you guys found this helpful. If you did, please share this with your friends. And until next time, we'll see you then.